Good evening and welcome to another episode of Real Politique. As I mentioned in our promo, Tobago matters. And it's important for us to be, it is very significant that we are actually on the ground here in Tobago. And I have the honor of speaking with the Honorable Trevor James, Secretary for Infrastructure, Quarries, and the Environment. How are you, sir?
The real title is Infrastructure, Quarries, and
Quarries.
Urban Development.
Urban Development.
We've changed out the environment as moved to another division.
Wonderful.
I'm good, I continue to represent as best as I can.
One thing that remains authentic about you is that your passion and your commitment to your, even when prior to us, to you getting involved involved in the politics actively, when we were having discourses, it was always evident that you were quite passionate about Tobago and Tobago's needs and taking Tobago forward. And that resonates still with you in this position. Tell me something. What was it like on the night of winning that very critical seat for you?
It was exhilarating, in my world, in my business, we are planners. And we sat down after the 6-6 and we created a detailed plan of how we could win that seat. A lot of people felt that it was impossible. It was the seat of the former chief secretary. The support for the other side was strong. And it seemed, for all intents and purposes, impossible. And we were just blown away, to use a common phrase today, by the victory. We had projected a narrower margin, and so it was a great feeling that night.
You clearly wasn't listening to me when I said it was either all or nothing, and it was swinging in favor of you all for all, and it almost came down to all. But victory came, everybody settled in, and then the Duke issue happened. In your planning of how you all had you all won, so envisioning winning going forward, did the Duke factor ever play a role into you needed a contingency plan in place?
Well, there could have been no contingency plan. I think we all felt that we had put together a team being led by Mr. Duke, being championed by Mr. Augustine to take Tobago and Trinidad forward. Mr. Duke had come back to Tobago and started the party and attracted several of us in a vision that said to Tobago, finally we can build something in an entity that did not have to fear the PNM and the dependency and the fear that comes over that dependency. And so there was that concept of fighting for Tobago and Tobago's freedom and autonomy and all of that. And the party and the members of the party and the party directorate bought into that philosophy. So we had no idea that what eventually transpired would have transpired. And so we couldn't have a contingency. And that resulted in what is now a delay in restructuring the secretaries and all of that. But no doubt, as an executive council, we'll get to that and we saw that also.
Duke himself, what it is like now, facing him and sitting opposite to him? I mean, did he contribute to the motion of no confidence against you?
Yes, he contributed, and I don't remember his speech. I think Duke for me remains an individual who is confused. He made certain calculations, I suppose, in his own political strategy, and those calculations didn't pan out, I think. He's now in a place jumping between the two islands and not um, you know, being sure of, of where he wants to go. And, there's a certain amount of shamelessness that has you could identify with him, that there should be no consequence to his actions. He can present himself to the public despite what has happened. So that kind of shamelessness is overtaken his brand of politics. And we'll see how it goes. I think another view is that behind all the talk, the action of resigning might be that he was not as competent as he set out to present himself, and therefore could not deliver on the mandate for that division that he was given.
Okay.
Maybe that's a view that some people hold.
I think that's something that will hold. And then you'll move to being independent. Groundbreaking piece of politics.
But I think we had no real choice. The issue arose in New York. It was blown out of proportion, willfully, and then senior persons were dismissed from the party. Essentially, there was no option for us, and so it became necessary for us to say, hey, we can't have someone in the ranks disrespecting the office of the chief secretary in that kind of manner, behaving as though he was above the executive council. And it became necessary for us, claiming as well that the party and the symbol is mine and all of that kind of stuff. So it became necessary for us to distance ourselves from him. And we took that decision to do that. And thankfully, the public of Trinidad and Tobago seen that history has proven us to be that decision to be the best decision.
And on that premise, that it was proved to be the best decision, why change it now?
Well,
now, as in, you're not doing you gathered even greater respect by the whole move to say, you know what, we recognize there's a problem here. We work hard to get to where we are today. Enough is enough. You'll move to independent. And independent is politically groundbreaking for anybody. There's very few things or persons that have been successfully as independent. You all are one of them. That I believe garnered a great deal of real, genuine respect. That, as you say, Trinidad and Tobago understood the reason why. But isn't it too early?
Well, there are different schools of thought. For us, we have to have a series of plans, medium, short, long-term plans, and the reality for us is that going into an election in a few years, as a group of independents, would have been a group of 15 independents going into an election would have been something even more groundbreaking than leaving an organization and becoming independent in the house. And so there's an expectation that a political organization would have come out of the move in any case. We felt that the time was right to begin that process that would take us into an election campaign under a body. And so we've started the process of forming a party from the people. And the way we've gone about it, we've gone to the people and we've had the people involved, selecting the name and so on and so forth. And we're going to build that, whether we remain independent for the duration of the house. That's an option, or whether there is a legal way to be identified in the house as being TPP. Something that's still undecided, but certainly as we plan for an election or two elections in 25 and 26, we are putting the structures in place now to prepare for that.
I think when how you say it, in the manner it's been described, is logical.
Mhm.
From where I sit, as you rightfully say, different schools of thought. Yes, I understand you need to prepare long term, 25 and 26. Uh, if I were to advise, I would not advise that you brand the current administration with the new that exists, that the new that you'll have formed. Because the independent, I mean, one of the arguments was that the act allowed for you all to be independent and to operate independently. It also takes away a lot of the noise that was taking place, the backlash, right? I mean, everybody had something to say, including the Prime Minister, that somehow believed that his Facebook post was an op-ed, right? Unfortunately, I think nobody advised the Prime Minister that he should have published it somewhere for it to be an actual op-ed, right? But in that, all of that says to me that you all are still viable. You all are still seen as with some level of favor, as well as you all are seen as a real threat. That the PNM is concerned that they will not be able to infiltrate in the way that they would have years ago, right? Um, but let's shift now to you taking up this role and the passion that you brought to this office. Tell us the vision, your vision for this role.
Well, Shane, we ran that campaign on two philosophies. It was branded in "Let us fix this," so let me fix this in the colloquial. But the two-headed philosophy was one, that we must transform Tobago, and two, we must make Tobago achieve its self-determination struggle of 47 years now. And so we are still about that. And I think what you said before, we don't have still some credibility. We are the only credible group in the States. The idea that because we are forming a new political organization and all of that takes away credibility, there is an expectation in the public that would happen, and so we feel strongly that the time is right. In terms of my coming to this office, we as a group, my team and my little team that we came in here with, we wanted to bring the power of project management to the division. So we had a restructuring process where we developed a procurement office. We brought in we developed a project management office. We brought in a procurement manager to hopefully build up now, and especially now that the procurement regulation is sent to. So we've been ahead of the game a little bit in the rest of the THA, but the vision really is to bring the full power of project management to the division to see how we can convert the division into a project-based type organization where every project is conceptualized and planned, whether we're doing it in-house, whether we're doing it in districts, whether we are contracting out the projects, because we believe delivery is a critical thing. Even the softer side of the division, the accounting and the HR, we want to be able to develop those as projects so that we can move from where we are now, the performance that we met, and set targets that we could achieve, even on those softer sides, and create that linkage between those who produce on the outside, the workers and the daily paid staff and so on, to ensure that everything works so that they can produce more, supported, of course, by HR and accounts and so on. And we continue to pursue that as best as we can.
All right, let's take a quick break. Welcome back as we continue the discussion with Secretary James. So that's vision. What's the action plan?
Well, Shane, we've come into the division and we've, we've looked at what we have. We went around the island to identify as much of the needs as possible. Unfortunately, we had a large amount of rain last year, which kind of threw the plans off. Um, we've looked at the budget we have, and the budget is quite constraining. And we've decided that we have to find ways of bringing private sector funds into Tobago through the division, and we are on that. We want to see a place where we begin to gradually move away from this concept of the morning walk, and where people buy into the thing that the idea that morning walk can build an island. And so we have to come up with strategies to see how we can extend the working hours and get buy-in from the staff. It's the realization that this is our Tobago, and if we don't build it, then nobody will. And so it's difficult. This change management thing is difficult, but we are on the path, and we hope that we will see some fruit down the road. There are some policy matters to deal with, of course, legislatively, through the THA. But we are on the path. The major goal that we've set for ourselves from the campaign going through this first term is to build out the tourism and manufacturing infrastructure to create the spur that is required in Tobago. And so the talk of the city, the port infrastructure to allow for direct imports, to minimize or to reduce the cost of living in Tobago generally, to bring more people, attract more people to the island. That vision is still there, and we are on the path to hopefully contracting that project out at some point, if not this year, certainly by next year. We've done the feasibilities and so on, and putting the project together. The new legislation has come, and will present some challenges, obviously, but we are looking at how we can do it, and we have people reviewing the legislation now, and we'll see how it goes.
You answered my question with regard to deliverables, and I know one of your key deliverables is about Scarborough, and you're passionate about it. Do you think you could deliver that before 2025, 26?
Well, we'll be well on the way. When we campaigned, we believed that as a country, the government in Port of Spain would buy into this thing and would come and sit with us and have a discussion how we could achieve it. Because when we look at the country, the future of energy is in Tobago. You can define Tobago 6 miles all you want. The world knows, the population of Tobago and Trinidad know that, according to UNCLOS, land claims the sea, and the majority of the future of the energy sector, Dragon and Manatee aside,
it's up north.
is in Tobago waters. Not only north, but northeast and west.
Yeah.
And we believe that we have never been getting a fair share of the resources. You can't really tell me that in 6-7 years the Ministry of Works receives $20+ billion, and the Department of Works in Tobago receives not even $1 billion. It just doesn't make sense. So we have a feeling in Tobago that our resources are being used exclusively to develop Trinidad. 6-7 million and counting to build that road to Point 14, we can't seem to finish. The road to Toku, the plan to modernize San Fernando and the waterfront in San Fernando to reclaim lands there, building a port in Toku as well, big plans to do that. And we're still struggling to transit between the two islands. Even that, the boat will go and dry dock in a few weeks.
Yes.
When that goes off for 2 weeks, there is no replacement plan. These are willful structuring of the country in a way that disenfranchises Tobago.
It delays your plans.
But it delays
A
that.
direct delay plan.
Well, obviously, but there is even more. There are moves like the Ministry of Works to extend the jetty in the middle of knowing that we are developing a full plan for the whole waterfront in Scarborough.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are getting a sense that instead of the government headed by someone who was born in Tobago, say, listen, after I criticized this port at a dock point for years, finally someone and a group of people have come up with a plan that can actually work and move the country, Trinidad and Tobago now forward. Because if Tobago develops,
so does
Trinidad develops. Trinidad benefits from it. So it is not like one part of the island. It is not like developing Point Fortin, Tobago will not benefit. Developing San Fernando, Tobago will not benefit. And so we hope, and we still hope, that the government will buy into our plans and sit with us as administrative people on both islands and say, listen, let's see how we can participate, assist, finance. Why can't we, for example, monetize Block 22 today? Okay, so it is 5 years down the road when we produce gas from it. Why can't we monetize it today? Why can't the island benefit from an obvious asset that we have? Why would you sell a block and not give a cent to the THA? Why aren't we involved in that conversation?
Because I am king.
Well, there is a saying that there's no king in Igbo land. And the Igbos are the first democratic people in the whole entire world. And so who wants to be king will understand that in Tobago there are no kings in Igbo land.
And there's no political will.
We have the will.
No, you have the will.
We have the will. I think what we have that's constraining the will is a desire to maintain office in Trinidad with 2 Tobago seats.
Yes.
And that desire to use the indigenous Tobago vote is what fuels the strategy.
But that's not guaranteed.
Well, now it's under threat.
Of course.
and so you would find as the time goes by and we get closer and closer to the election, what you would find is that there will be willful attempts to ensure that we can't perform, and stumbling blocks will be put in the way and that kind of stuff. But I think we are mindful, we're big, hard-headed, people. We dig into Tobago when the time comes, and we hope that the people of Tobago would see these strategies for what they are and would resist. We are ready for the challenge.
So let's revert back to it, and it all comes back now to you're heading into midterm. You have critics. You need critics. Critics within and critics outside.
Mm-hmm.
You can have allies, but your allies cannot simply be yes men. They have to be able to say, listen, something's not right here, right? You may understand that. Councillor Sitika O may understand that. I see you all as the nurturers of the thing. You all are more mature, you have more experience. And the Prime Minister has dismissed the Assembly as a kindergarten. Right? You have faced premature, because I took in that entire thing. I was asked to to give my opinion on that. And you faced a very premature, very weak motion of no confidence. One that was really unfounded, right? The way in which for me stood out, was your ability to stand up and defend yourself. And your contribution on that day was mind-blowing. And I'm not brown-nosing and I'm saying to you, I mean, if it was bad, I'd tell you bad, but it was amazing the way you stood up there and you had your say and you defended yourself. There was after you spoke, there was nothing anybody else could say, right?
Yeah.
But there's elements on the ground who are supporters, who are actually not only supporters, but they are part of the administration in one role or the other, is saying, let we fix this, is crumbling because not everybody has their ducks in order. You may have your ducks in order. You may have your priorities in order. Somebody else may have their priorities in order. But there are cracks that, and this is not me saying this, this is Tobagonian saying this, that there are cracks that have developed, and the assembly, the executive is not paying attention to the voice of the people as it pertains to the cracks.
There's several things you raised there, right? First comment to that is, one, we work as a team.
Mm-hmm.
In any team, cricket, football, you have a Brian Lara or a Dwight Yo.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have a goal scorer and a goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Not every member of a team will perform in the same way,
mm-hmm.
but we work as a team and we bring the expertise in the team to bear on the issues in every division.
Mm-hmm.
From where we sit, there are no cracks. There is a need for us to understand what the economy of Tobago is,
Mm-hmm.
what we have inherited.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've inherited an island that was almost abandoned administratively.
Mm-hmm.
We have administrators that can't be paid and can't get a temporary appointment for years. We have senior staff members. We have clerks acting up from clerk 1 to clerk 3, can't get appointment. The whole system, we met a broken system. And you know, there is because of how we have attacked the first year, there's an expectation that we can sustain that throughout and everything can be fixed in a short time. And that is a good thing. It's a good thing that there is that belief still in the people that we can fix all the issues in Tobago in a year. That gives us hope that the people want us to succeed.
Yes, they do.
And so we feel strengthened and buoyed by that kind of excitement and that kind of criticism. We don't want a country as what happened in the past 20 years where if you had a different point of view, you know, and you criticize the government, they sideline you and they victimize you and you could do nothing. You could get nothing. That's not what we want. We want a Tobago where everybody can contribute, where you can lend your voice to the solutions, and we would sit back and we would listen. We would take some criticism. We know that we can't do everything perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
We would get some licks like every government, and we see it in training all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
No government can do everything and please everybody at the same time. But I think we have done well. We've looked at the lowest classes of employees in the THA and URP and so on, and we've raised their salary so that they could live on the salary, even as they find extra work in the afternoon and so on. To me, that's a great thing. We have people trying to live on $79 a day. We've done what Trinidad will not do. And I'm sure the URP workers in Trinidad are wishing that those salaries they have can be raised. Now, we we went about the various divisions trying to develop the plans and finding a way for us to succeed. In my own division, I think we have put a series of plans in place. We are moving forward. But the idea that there are kinks on the ground and there are kinks within the team. If you look at what has actually happened, we are together. We keep building and we keep building. We are moving to forming an organization. People are more hopeful. What the challenge we have is a financial challenge. The challenge we have in increasing the delivery is a budgetary problem.
Right.
You simply cannot say that the law allows for 6.9%, and you sit in cabinet and you sit in parliament and you have 2 seats from Tobago, and not once will they raise a voice to say, we have to give Tobago more than 4%.
Because then, if they do that, they're giving you more power.
No, but even before we came into office,
they didn't give their friends.
No, you know what I'm saying? You cannot say that you represent us. You look at the disparity in development between the two islands and say that 4% is enough.
No, it's
and
not.
Even say 6% is enough, and not try your best after 47 years of moving on this continuum of quest for self-determination, of making no step, of achieving no objective.
Agree.
Of planning for 10 years, bringing a watered-down bill to the house that you know would fail, is an intent of not to have this succeed. And so the people of Tobago finally saw through all of that fakeness and said, we want to move to a new organization, give a young man the opportunity to lead the island. Hopefully he will bring a young vision and achieve what others could not achieve. And I think the people still have that hope in heart, and I think we are in fact delivering.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are in the middle of a very interesting conversation, and where we left off, Secretary James is talking about the young man with the young vision in terms of the Chief Secretary. So every leader is not without their criticism. The people, again, both allies, both persons that are very much hell-bent on the success of the administration, are concerned about let me try to put this as diplomatic as possible, the inavailability. But let me step back before. Let me go before we go there. One of the things that you talked about is that all of these plans that just exist, that needs to be done, the fact that the money is a problem, you are trying, in other words, to go down the route of public-private partnerships to make things work. Excellent. Fantastic. How is this communicated? All administrations, at some point in time meets a point where they have to redesign and re-strategize their communication plan. If you did not have this conversation with me this evening, I would not know about all of what you have planned and what you have achieved thus far. And you're right, people like to see tangibles, but they're also not realizing that to get the tangibles, you have to fix the intangibles. But there's a communication gap that is not consistent, that should be consistent. And I saw it, you all advertise it, that you all are, I think next week, town meeting again next week.
Yes, we're
right.
starting over.
And if you all are starting over,
we are continuing.
It needs to be every week, because somebody needs to be able. You all are 13 strong. With the addition of Kerr and with Orlando and Sitica, you're 15. Everybody has a portfolio. Everybody knows what their roles and responsibilities are, and their achievables. You can't tell me within a rotation of, let's just say, 15 weeks, you don't have something to talk about that is new, or to remind the people of what. Because we live in a society.
Listen, every government will and can be criticized for how detailed they communicate. Communication is an ongoing, dynamic thing. It can always be better. You can always do more. People are thirsty and hungry for the information, and surely when we came into office, we had a couple of retreats and so on, and we discussed certain plans, and we have been in fact communicating. Could we do a better job? Absolutely. Will we change some of the style, some of the way we communicate? Absolutely, we will. Those matters are being discussed now, and we will roll out new ways piece by piece, because, it is not only about today, it is about the election when it comes. The way the last administration would communicate was to say the election campaign starts, we'll now go and fix roads and drains, and we'll swamp the place with some money, and we'll buy some votes through that. That was their main way of communicating.
Yes.
We have started from day one.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's an expectation that we will do more. But there are gaps, yes, I admit to that. And we continue to look at our output, and certainly we will make fresh plans, and we will edit the plans that we have. And we'll find a way to bring our plans and our ideas to the people. And we get back on the ground in due course in a more planned and orchestrated manner, so that the people are aware of what we're doing. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we have in fact achieved a whole lot in the year and 5 months that we are in office. That when you look at the achievements, you wonder what was done in the extended period of time and the last government was in office for. So I think we are on the way. In terms of the young leader, we feel, listen, we are in Tobago a kind of a God-fearing country. There's a church maybe in every village. Some of the better kings of Israel were young kings, David, Josiah, young kings in the Americas, the people who championed the black struggle in the U.S.
Very young.
Malcolm and King started in their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing wrong with a young leader. Of course, we need to put a support system around him, and we need to build a support system around him to give him that strength and that support. No doubt, that is necessary. But every leader has to do that.
But the word,
whether you are young or you are old, every leader.
But he has been seen. He was voted in because he was viewed as very different.
He still is.
But there's also that flip side, that he doesn't answer his phone. He's not accessible. And there are secretaries that are more accessible to the people than the chief.
I think there is a
and people are becoming there's a little bit of apathy as it pertains to that.
There's a miscalculation of the workload of the chief secretary.
But that cannot be.
Nobody in Trinidad can call the prime minister and get him. Nobody.
But you cannot compare. We don't want to compare.
We're not comparing. We're not comparing personalities now.
But the work schedule.
Responsibility.
Agreed. But you're a busy man too.
We all are busy.
But you still have time.
We all are busy. But I can't say that I have the same level of responsibility as the chief. The
But
chief is working. When I
agreed.
see him, he is working 20 hours a day sometimes.
Yes, but you have to
20 hours
working.
sometimes surviving on 2 hours sleep.
I take that.
You
I take that
understand?
point too.
You understand? So I'm sure he's answering some calls. He must be answering some calls. He has to juggle the time spent on the phone and the time spent in an activity to deliver something. And I think
It
there
may
is
be a
kind of-
call that it may just be a call that he has not taken that could help him build that same circle that you're talking about.
But that is a reality for everyone.
Of a very missed
There's
opportunity.
a reality for everyone. There are calls I don't take. And no one knows. Sometimes you get back to that person a couple of days later. So in my case, I get back to them a couple of days later. But I'm sure the number of persons who call me, a minuscule number of persons who call the chief. And so I just want people to appreciate that, listen, when you compare, we are running a government. We have the same level of responsibility as a prime minister in any jurisdiction.
Let me try another one.
That's what we're doing.
Let me try
And
another
in
one.
no jurisdiction you can have. We still have this colloquial, this thing in Tobago where the fisherman can call the chief secretary and the teacher could call him and everybody could call. And everybody call him. Everybody have a little problem that they want solved. And instead of calling the public servant or the secretary, they call the chief secretary. And so
Agreed.
You would expect that, let's be reasonable. There's no way I call Sinana and he don't answer. And he tells me point to blank, every time he gets a call, he can answer.
But you really want to call Senator?
I beg your pardon?
You really want to call Senator?
Well, that's a different question.
but you know,
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that we have to pull back our expectation. The telephone thing to me is not a critical thing, and the governance infrastructure.
A simple thing like a message. That's how I contacted you.
Yes, but I'm saying the level of calls I have, the level of calls the chief secretary must be a vast
But
difference.
he must also be able to know who is calling and to what. And for someone to get to the point of calling, it has to be, depending again, screening your calls, understanding the different levels, right? But we can't.
I'm not here to
Defend.
Not to defend. I'm here to defend, but I'm not here to give reasons why anybody will not answer all the calls that they receive.
Agreed. Fair enough.
There'll be a whole picture of reasons why that
And that's
happen.
fair.
The reality is, though, that we have tried to run a government without the trappings of the office. We've tried to remain as close to the people as possible, and that
people will beg to defend, say that you're one of the few of them, though.
Well, I don't know about that.
I could tell you. I'm telling you that you are one of the few of them.
Well, thank you, but I'm saying I don't know if that can be true across all secretaries and all assistant secretaries. It just simply can't. I think when I look at the whole, generally speaking, we as a group, we have tried our best to remain as normal as possible. We go to the airport and we don't bother to go to VIP. We go through, they search my bag, I take off my belt, and I move as
normal.
Most of us do that because we are of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Now that kind of movement ingratiates you with the people, and the people become, hey, I could call James, I could call Fali, I could call Faith, I could call Thing. But then we get a lot of those calls. There's some calls I may answer my phone more than others. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, let me try next one. Your people, not me, your people, as in the Tobago space, is saying that so I understand the expectation. We get it, right? That he doesn't understand what he's carrying on his shoulders fully. And that there's a fear that as a leader, I would put him as premier, as chief sec. He's not fully understood.
He's not understood.
He has not fully understood the magnitude of the responsibility that is on his shoulders, that people don't want this administration to just be a one-time administration. They want him and they want you to succeed beyond 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms.
And Shane, that is contributing to the demands.
Do you think he understands it though?
I believe so. I'm sure we all as a group, which is secretary more than most, understand that we can't transform Tobago in 4 years.
No, you can't.
And so the transformation will be a process. And therefore, we have to develop the strategies, the communication plans to ensure that we can be successful in the next election. Surely he understands that. Like I said, the chief is working long hours, even with a young wife and a young baby.
That's not an excuse, though.
It's not an excuse. I'm saying even with that, he's working long hours. That we say that is holding him back. He's dedicated to the task of leading the island. Nobody could question that. Sometimes you look at him, I look at him, he's tired.
We take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our discussion. Just before we close off, as I started, I said, I see you and Councillor Surgical as seniors, experience. You're Prime Minister, our Prime Minister. I said that you're like kindergartners.
You tried for me to comment on that. I commented.
Don't comment on it. Don't comment.
Go ahead.
I did. He has tried to distract. I think. Do you think the comment about, and I guess it's also from political science perspective, where the chief secretary had to respond to the Prime Minister's quote unquote op-ed, which is not an op-ed, and it was minding the damn business.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that will affect budgetary allocations? Do you think that Port of Spain is going to continue to victimize Scarborough?
Well, we hope not. I think we want a country that functions according to the righteous laws that we have and that challenge the unrighteous laws that we have.
Do you think that that's possible with this administration?
Absolutely.
Not yours.
I know the question you're asking. I know the question you're asking. We still see the government in Trinidad as a government for the people, elected by the people, and a government that will do its best for the people of Tobago. And if they don't, the people of Tobago will judge them harshly. We believe that the government now understands that the people of Tobago are not going to give their vote just like that anymore.
Agreed.
And I have an expectation that with all the posturing and all the stumbling blocks that have been planned, that at some point the government in Trinidad will come to understand that you can't take us for granted as we've done in the past.
Agreed.
And that would mean, hopefully, that we can sit at the table and negotiate and have a discussion and come up with solutions to the problems that Tobago faces. We have been facing severe problems for a long time. And we hope that type of discussion will start.
Do you think, in your vision, looking on, do you think the two MPs that represent Northern, East and West Tobago have given up, has conceded already?
You mean that they will lose their seats?
Yes.
I don't think the PNM are a party that gives up. I don't see that. They're always going to mount an attack. They're always going to come up with a plan of how they can win. And they will pursue it as vigorously as they always have. I don't think giving up is in their DNA.
But do you think
there should be no expectation to our supporters now? There should be no expectation that the PNM would give up and concede. That's just never going to happen.
But do you think that Dennis has a chance against Farley in any election coming up?
Listen, let's have a real conversation. The PNM does not have a history of bringing back losing candidates.
So
and whatever Dennis is doing now is a distraction.
What about
and I don't see the PNM breaking 60, 70 years of tradition for Ansel Dennis. So, I mean, they are in a holding pattern simply because Mr. Morris is not up to standard, and they accept that, and they're holding pattern with Mr. Dennis. But Mr. Dennis himself knows that come election, he's gone. He cannot be represented. He cannot be chosen as a representative under the PNM tradition.
You think Morris has a chance
of being re-elected, of being a candidate?
The leader of the PNM council?
Well, that's not for me to say. Clearly, because to me now, that the PNM did not think, does not think that he is leadership material.
I see him hobnobbing in Trinidad. And trying to establish himself.
That's the PNM way, you go to Trinidad to get direction.
Do you think?
And we believe that we must stand on our own.
To finish, your role, mentor?
No, I think that I bring a certain experience to the party, a certain experience to the government in Tobago. The public will judge how I go in the organization, in the executive council. There are senior, bright, educated people there as well, and I don't see myself as a mentor. My experience in the construction industry helps, brings a perspective to the executive council that assists. And so I share that experience. I don't see myself as any special representative. I try to be normal. We've set out to find a way to develop the island overall, to build the tourism infrastructure, the physical infrastructure, and so on. And I will make my contribution there. That's where my expertise is. I'm not the geologist, so I'll probably not make a contribution as well. But I will make the contribution in my areas of expertise. But I mean, all jokes aside though, but we try not to get into that personality thing. We all have different training, different experience. And when we come together, we use that group vision, that group contribution to improve the decision-making process in whatever area that's up for discussion.
What about you as bad cop?
No, I in my DNA is the desire for autonomy. I can't change that. And so I will always be looking at the history, looking at the legislation, looking at the failings of the THA for the last how much years. And if an issue arises, I will make the link to the autonomy because that's what's in my DNA.
What about?
But I'm not a bad cop.
Bad cop in within the executive council. Are you one of those that will be the bad cop and say, well, you need to see it this way, or
no?
Are you tied to collective responsibility?
Absolutely. Every decision we take, I don't think there is any cabinet that functions where every minister agrees with every decision, but the majority rule or the chief executive has a veto, and we all agree that this is where we're going to go, even if it is dictated to by the Prime Minister or the Chief Secretary. That's how this collective thing works.
But if need be, and
but we will share our views.
If there needs to strike a balance, if there needs to be, you see, there's the perception of who you are, and the perception is that you are an anchor, one of the anchors.
I am not the symbol for the party. No, but listen. listen, we have to move away from this deifying of people.
I like that.
We have to move away from this idea that all this colonial baggage of most honorable and that kind of craziness, that comes to an end. End of the day, we are Tobagonians, born and bred here. We make a contribution. I have been fortunate to have been selected and to have presented myself to the public, to have sold myself through an organization, but mostly selling myself in a difficult district, to have won a seat, to have been granted the opportunity by the Chief Secretary to serve the people of Tobago. And I will serve the people of Tobago under the guidance of the Chief Secretary and within the team. Do I see myself as being special for that? Not really. I bring my knowledge and my experience to the team, just as others do. Like I said, the conversations that have been had seems to have put me in the public space because I think, and I think a lot of Tobagonians think, that if we are going to win in Tobago, the division which I lead will be critical to the victory. And so one of the strategies is to attack Trevor. Because if Trevor succeeds,
Tobago succeeds,
then PNM loses.
Yes.
And so that's the strategy. And I think the majority of Tobagonians understand that. And the amount of calls I get when an issue is raised, saying, James, don't give up, is encouraging. When we get criticized in the public unfairly, people call me all the time, James, don't give up, we're behind you.
I am really happy, and I say thank you for everything that you've said today. And I think when, at the end of the day, you've really put things into perspective and redirected people's minds in a way that level of reassurance that is much needed. So in a sense, you are indeed a political mentor. So
if the students of Tobago see me as that, then I'm honored.
Thank you so much for this time.
You're most
welcome. That's it for the Real Politique. It has been a great honor to sit with Secretary James and, get his perspectives and his, his plans, and not forgetting his passion for Tobago. See you another time.